Hello, everybody, and welcome to the White Hatter YouTube News Show. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Darren. You can beam anywhere and everywhere around the world.
It's about
drop down menu.
Google hit with more than 20,000 geofence warrants from this $49 malware. What?
Malware.
But again, iCloud is not an encrypted environment anyway,
I know.
so...
Do they use laser?
No.
Light.
They were able to open the person's computer that was protected by Windows Hello. At the beginning said, no, we weren't breached. And then a couple days later, yeah, we were breached.
Straight up.
It needs to be like...
Stand straight up.
It's right here.
See, I'm standing straight up. He's a little taller
I need an extra. Do you want to make sure your significant other doesn't know where you're shopping, what gifts you're going to get? Buy the Faraday Pocket. Ineffective malware affecting Mac and PC, Discord being used to spread viruses, and fake Windows 11 installs are making their way among the internet.
Allow an identity thief what they need to get a credit card under your name. Oh, you lost somebody else had your phone? Oh, who was that? Somebody else.
It got stolen.
I just need to talk to him.
I was at the gym and it got stolen on my locker, which is a common thing that happens.
Right. Oh, and how come you have it on you now? I kind of feel like the old style news. Hi, Darren with CKDA here. Just thought I'd say.
How the Bumble dating app revealed any user's exact location.
Oh, I better delete it off my phone. I'm joking. I don't have Bumble. What are you doing? You know, if I'm a criminal.
Next one, Zoom has made
Zoom Z-O-O-M, Box 350, Boston, Mass. Oh, you were dressed up like a dinosaur yesterday.
That was a personal project, but yes.
You're trackable, right? You're trackable.
Everyone walk around with a Faraday pocket.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, that would be a great invention where you now invent pants that have Faraday pockets built right into them.
Yeah. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the White Hatter live broadcasting studio. Yes, tonight's program is a live video broadcast from us here in the White Hatter. This is going to be our annual, and this is, I think, the third year now, which is now our annual back-to-school event for students, teachers, educators, to overview some new things with us here in the White Hatter, and also overview some of the tips and tricks, safety, security, and privacy challenges we've experienced over the last year, and things we can look forward to, and things you can set up going into this school season. Without any further delay, let's get started into our broadcast, shall we? Just want to start off by saying welcome everybody who are tuning in live to the video broadcast. And if you are following from any of our social media postings, you may have seen that there will be a little giveaway here in tonight's live broadcast. So what we're going to do is I'm going to enable the giveaway bot. Yes, we got some bots. How high tech, right? We have started so. And what's going to happen is to engage with us here in the White Hatter tonight, it's a subscriber only chat function. So if you want to subscribe to our channel, please, we would really appreciate that. You will be notified of any new videos that we produce here on YouTube, including things like our weekly YouTube news show. So to kind of get into the giveaway, we got 2 books. Well, we actually have 4 in total to give away. Digital Executor and Your Digital Undertaker. These are books written by one of our guests during our expert interview series over the summer. So if you want a chance to enter, and we'll mail some to you, just put !book into the chat box if you are a subscriber here in the channel, and you'll be entered. And at the end of the program, we will draw some entries, and we'll get some books mailed out to those winners. Getting into the immediate updates that we have for all of you here in the White Hatter. A couple really exciting announcements is we have made some website optimization on our website to improve navigation, to improve finding resources, and we've also added new features to overview the studio and what you can expect for students and teachers and educational institutions on how we produce and carry out our broadcasts. And speaking of which, we have been working tirelessly over the summer in order to get some upgrades here into the studio. I think right now we have a total of, 11 or so cameras, total video inputs. We got 3 HD cameras, 4K actually cameras. We got the main one here, and then we got our side one, and then we got an additional side one over here, including our top-down camera, behind the scenes, and various other sources we use, and we've been working to optimize here in the studio. But one of my favorite upgrades we've been spending a lot of time working on is when we're now able to do live broadcasting directly to individual devices. And for students and any participants are able to actually engage and ask questions to us during live broadcasting using their own personal mobile devices. How cool is that? This technology is absolutely amazing. So now when we broadcast into classrooms or gymnasiums, if students have phones on them, they can connect and ask questions directly. And we think this is going to be a huge asset in engaging with students during programs. Classrooms, gyms, auditoriums, anybody, anywhere can engage and ask questions here to the White Hatter team. It reduces question embarrassment, no raising hands, no asking teachers, typing questions for you, and privacy, top of mind, and completely moderated. Bombing doesn't really exist in other platforms, which we are really excited to be rolling out here this school season. But there's one more announcement that we are so excited to finally be announcing. If you've been watching our YouTube news shows, which we do almost every single week, published on either Tuesday or Wednesday, Darren just can't, he has to keep hinting things all the time. And if you watch our shows, you can probably come to a conclusion of what we were going to announce, but officially, we are moving into video on demand services. And what does that mean? What is a VOD? Well, basically, it is a recorded, produced, and fully edited, full-length White Hatter educational video, which is ready to stream anywhere to anybody and costing less than a family going out to, say, a movie in a movie theater. We're so excited to be going into this route, producing content here in the White Hatter studio, and you can expect programs. We're going to start with our grade 4-5 program and the grade 6-7 program, aiming to be released, to be streamable, coming October 2021, which is in only like a couple weeks. So we are really excited to be rolling this out for schools and families. We know we've had a lot of families been asking us over the last year and a half, is there a way that we as a small family can engage and learn from you in the White Hatter without having to do a whole live broadcast? Now we have a solution, and schools as well can hop on board. We can now reach more schools, more students than ever before. And we're so excited to be launching this new service, and we look forward to be adding more programs here in the coming year. And we're also announcing new programs. Because of all this, we are now launching a live Q&A with the White Hatter program. Super exciting, because this is a great add-on to any virtual program. And what we mean by that is, let's say a school wants to use a video on demand, a video rental to stream our presentations and what we have to share and our message. Well, video on demand, there is no Q&A, but now we can book Q&A components after the video. And what's also cool is that if planned well in advance, we can actually have participants ask questions before the event even starts to fully maximize the experience. And there's another program that we're excited to be sharing here in the White Hatter is our Law Studies 12 or Law Studies 11 program, Social Media, Critical Thinking, and the Law. We've had a couple high schools in particular talk to us if we've had any programs for their students in law studies who are kind of getting interested in the law. And we've now developed a program to address just that. And what we're going to cover there is criminal code consequences, civil consequences, and consequences to both teens and adults when it comes to social media and the internet. And we know a lot of students have been asking us, either during programs or after programs on social media, various topics around the law, what's allowed, what's not allowed when it comes to the internet. And we're happy to address pretty much those questions in its own pre-built program. That's also really exciting for us here in the White Hatter. And as well, we have been updating our resource app. For those of you who are not aware, we do have our own White Hatter free resource app downloadable on the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. Free, costs you nothing. When we constantly update the app with new resources for students, adults, educators to turn to if they have questions around social media, security, privacy, or mental wellness. So we're excited to be adding more of those resources, and it's free, it costs you nothing, free download, any phone, which is amazing. And if you have not been following our Summer Expert series of interviews, let me give you a quick little overview of what all those entail. So over the summer, we did 4 expert interviews with other social media, internet, and legal experts in the area of some challenges that we have a lot of people asking us questions about. We talk about online sexual exploitation, predation, online gaming research, pornography, hypersexualization, and digital estate planning. What's that last one? That actually is exactly what it has to do with these books here, part of the giveaway here today. If you are just joining us, you can enter into the book giveaway from Sharon, who was our guest on our social media expert series. Put !book into the YouTube live chat and you'll be entered into that giveaway if you're so interested, and we would love to send some books or 2 to the winners. So let's talk about some recent events in regards to some challenges that we have experienced over the last year and a half, especially related to learning and working from home. And if one thing has become pretty clear to us in the White Hatter is one of the biggest challenges that we've experienced is all related to account management. If a security challenge or threat is to appear, it's usually going to deal with account security. That's the number one challenge we've experienced, that we've had students, educators, and working professionals contact us about because their accounts got hacked or they got logged out or kicked off. And this applies to any online account you can imagine. And to really explain what we mean by this, I like to use this little graph, this little demonstration. And probably one of the biggest security challenges that we experience is people just not using different passwords. You've probably heard that 1,000 times. Trust me, you would be amazed at how many people still today use the same password for all their accounts. And we know that because many people will give us a call, send us a message or an email going, "Hey, White Hatter team, I somehow been locked out of my account." We did our research and we figured out why. Well, it was because they used the same password. Because what they did is that they were able to figure out the password on just one account. And if you know the password on one account, there's a pretty good likelihood that password is used in all the other accounts. And that can compromise your entire online identity. This is not a challenge for just students or parents or educators. It is a challenge for everybody. And we've had people of all ages contact us about challenges relating to that particular issue. So One thing I really want to quickly address here is one of the best security precautions you can take is to enable two-factor authentication on your accounts. And what that simply means is that if you're trying to log in to an online account on, say, your laptop, for example, you're trying to say something and log in, well, if it's on a brand new device, what will essentially happen is that it will prompt your mobile device a code. Could be 3, 4, 6 letters or characters long. You get prompted with a code and you have to enter that code on any new device. This is a wonderful security feature because what it means is if someone either tricks you into going to a fake website and fake entering your password, although you may think it's the proper Facebook login, you may think it's the proper YouTube login, when in fact it's just a copy and paste, typing your password, and boom, that's how they snag your password. Trust me, that is the most simplest and most effective hack out there, and it happens all the time. So to prevent that, enabling two-factor authentication, almost every major social network has the ability for you to enable two-factor authentication. And that means if a hacker or attacker for some reason tries and they get your password, they're not going to be able to log in. Why? Because they will be prompted for a code that only you have because they don't have your phone. Please, 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 please. All your really important accounts, be it your email, your banking, and the main social media accounts that you use, highly recommended to enable two-factor authentication. Really, really, really important. And we will be talking more about password and account security with students in our student programs because we've experienced a lot of students aren't following with those basic security practices. And if you're like us here in the White Hatter and you have thousands of passwords, how do you keep track of all these different passwords? We love using and recommending password managers, be it the Apple keychain, be it LastPass, or even something like the Google Password Manager. Now see, what these apps will do is it will store your password in a more secure encrypted environment, meaning that if someone gets a hand of your phone and they don't know your master password, they can't plug in a cable and steal the passwords. It's very rare there is a security issue with mainstream account password managers. Could there exist an issue? There could be. There hasn't been very many, if at all. So we actually here in the White Hatter use LastPass ourselves. It's a premium app, so they have a free version that is limited, and they have a premium version that comes with a lot of extra features that we use here in the White Hatter. They also have family plans to allow other members in your family to share passwords and have their own account. But Apple Keychain is free, although with the Apple platform, you're kind of stuck in using Apple. So, I mean, you're kind of stuck in that ecosystem. And the Google password, some people don't feel comfortable with Google, and it doesn't have as many features as, say, LastPass has, but those are all three really great options. Speaking of learning, working from home, let's talk about some home network security concerns and topics we want to address here going into the 2021-2022 school year. And first on it is, we've talked about this before during some of our back to school events, and we want to emphasize this again. We really believe here in the White Hatter that school provided devices, be it a tablet, a Chromebook, or something for a student to work on, being provided by the school is most ideal because generally it's going to be an insulated device, protected within the school's network, and usually it's going to be somewhat locked down. Not always, but it usually has some pretty good features in there to prevent misappropriation of that technology. Now, we do understand many schools here in North America and around the world don't always have the resources to provide those devices. But if your school is considering perhaps launching a device program for students, we do believe students having an own dedicated school device is the best practice. I mean, same thing we talk about when we talk to working professionals who are working from home, which we saw a lot of in the last year, 2 years. We saw a lot of security issues with professionals going and working remotely using their home personal devices to work, which created privacy, legal, copyright issues a lot over the last year and a half. So when we talk to businesses, we really recommend businesses kind of doing the same thing. But if you watch our business programs, you're kind of probably familiar with that lesson already. Let's also talk about making sure any device you are using, be it a mobile device, be it a laptop, for example, any of these devices, highly important to make sure that your devices are locked down. And quite simply, a password is the simplest step to take, especially if you're either traveling, kind of going from work to home and you're taking your device with you, or you're a commuter. Keeping a password on your devices will stop a lot of potential issues from someone stealing a device or even taking remote control over a device. A password can be a really good security precaution to prevent that from happening. So if you don't have passwords on your devices, be it work devices or personal devices, highly recommend you enable those today. Also, keep in mind that your home network router is itself a computer. Now, you may be kind of giving me a confused look there, going, what do you mean by that? Let me explain this. Your home router. So that device that you have plugged in that provides internet and Wi-Fi to all your devices, those are computers that come with security updates. They can have flaws in it. If you've been watching our weekly news show, we talk about sometimes routers that have been identified that have security flaws that you want to upgrade. Thankfully, most newer routers have by default passwords set and are set to automatically update. If you're not quite sure if your router has an admin password or if it gets automatic updates, please look at your router manual. And if you don't have any paper manuals, because it's paper, type in the model number into Google, type in manual, and find a guide to walk you through any security practices you may want to enable on your router. It's, for example, if your Wi-Fi network has absolutely no password, you definitely want to consider enabling that password to prevent your neighbors or passers-by from just logging on and accessing your network. Big security issue there, definitely. So lock those down. They are computers, much like any other device. Keep that in mind. And if you're looking to upgrade your router, and you're looking for a router that might have some family parental features, maybe recommend something like the Griffin router. We've been actually fortunate enough here in the White Hatter been doing what we're doing for so long now that we've become fairly more recognized in the privacy, security, and family parental control industry. And Griffin was able to send their Griffin router to us. We didn't pay them for it. They didn't pay us to do a review, but we did a review. And it has a lot of really great security features and parental control features. It's like a smart router that can kind of control some of the limitations, websites younger people can go to, and you as a parent or caregiver can have some more insight into what they're doing online. Even better, they also have bundled in their Griffin homebound monitoring subscription service, much like every other online parental control app. It is a subscription service, but the homebound connects directly with the Griffin router, so any parental controls or filters are activated on any device, either in the home or outside the home. What's also really cool about smart routers like this is, let's say you are looking to protect insulate, monitor, or filter devices like a PlayStation, for example, that doesn't have set third-party parental controls. This may be a solution. I'm not saying it's the cheapest solution out there, but at least it's a solution that can solve some challenges you may be looking for answers for. Another challenge is malware protection. And I know security experts have been talking about this for decades, and still today, viruses, malware, bad programs are still really relevant here in the way of how we do things online today. We here in the White Hatter, we use a service known as Bitdefender. We like it, but honestly, any mainstream antivirus program, Norton, Kaspersky, I think Intel has one as well. Any major antivirus program will do you just fine. They all work pretty much the same. What makes antivirus programs different is the little extra features they can bundle in to make their product more appealing, like automatic backups, online identity theft protection. Again, from pure antivirus malware, any major antivirus provider will do just fine. We here in the White Hatter use Bitdefender ourselves. And this is important. Again, if you've been watching our YouTube news show, you know that we love talking about all the kind of new malware that gets released, and especially the stuff that impacts Macs, because you'd be amazed at how many people still today will say to us, hey, White Hatter team, I don't need antivirus. Why? Because I own a Mac. I'm protected. Oh, really? Oh, we love talking about how, guess what? You know, malware affects both Mac and PC. And on this episode of our YouTube show, we talked about how there was this malware for a service where someone could buy malware for $49 and it will walk you through how to get it on someone's computer. Not that expensive, affecting both Mac and PC. This is exactly why antivirus is so needed. Now, here's some thoughts from us here in the White Hatter in regards to specific ideas for back to school and technology. See, as we are going to suspect, is that there probably may be still a working from home, learning from home, and in class model. I know some schools are going completely back in class. Some schools are going still completely online, and some schools are being a mixed model. We're not quite sure what the next couple months and year will look like, but we definitely want to bring some remote safety, security, and privacy thoughts in regards to if whatever chance you find yourself learning and working from home, some things to keep in mind. So for students, if you in a family are looking at a phone to be like a first phone for a young person, we may recommend to you to look into the pinwheel phone. Now, what's the pinwheel? Pinwheel is a specialized smartphone where what they've done is they kind of wiped a standard phone completely, and they've put in their own special sauce operating system designed for parental oversight and control. Comes in two versions. It's fully scaffolded, meaning privacy security is built at the fundamental level, and parental controls as well. And it's fully functional caregiver portal that you can log in through any website, well, through their website, to give you complete access and control over that device. It is a US only phone. Now, it does work in Canada. You may not be able to order it directly from their website, as they have halted shipping it's not available to Canada. But if you have a friend in the United States, there's nothing stopping that friend from shipping it to you if you give them some money to buy the phone for you. kind of a workaround, but we do really like how their system functions in terms of a first phone for a younger student. But again, if you're in the US, much more accessible to you. For Canadians, not so much, but if you're really looking for a phone, this is a good recommendation from us. If you're not looking to go down that route, may we recommend looking at a less powerful Android phone. One in particular that we've kept our eye on is the Max West Nitro 4X. Big name, I know, but essentially it is a no contract month-to-month plan, and it can be used as a phone-only mode to phone and text, or phone with a data plan combined. You have a lot of choice there. And, get to know your students, your child's school policy. No matter what phone that they have, make sure that when they bring it to school, if they're even allowed, they are within full compliance of school policy. Like, one of the benefits we've had here in the White Hatter, having traveled across North America, is we've had to see a lot of different schools on how they operate policies related to smartphones. Some schools have a no phone whatsoever policy. Some schools have a mixed policy where, maybe phones are only allowed during a break time. Some schools have a at teacher discretion model, meaning, there's a lot of educators who want to bring in technology to teach with in the world that we live in, which we think is kind of cool. And they may have policies as to when it's okay or not okay to have a phone in a classroom. So whenever you're thinking about giving or having a student of yours go to school with a smartphone, make sure you and them are completely aware of the school policy. So if they have a phone, let's say they don't have a pinwheel phone, maybe they're an older teen and for whatever reason you're looking for a privacy security app to monitor and filter some things, give Boomerang a look at. Boomerang works really well on Android phones, and it's a yearly plan. It's a yearly plan, and it's fairly cheap. It's less than $20 Canadian and American as of the recording and broadcasting of this event. And it comes with a bunch of robust features to give you some more control if you're a parent or caregiver over mobile devices, which you may be looking for. There's another one out there, Net Sanity, and it works, we find, more effectively on the Apple platform for, say, iPhones or iPads, and has a lot of robust features. Both apps have versions for Android and Apple, but we find each one specializes more in its particular niche. For Net Sanity, that would be Apple, and for Boomerang, that's more so for Android. And those are some really robust tools that have been around for a long time, and we're still really pleased with how they're implementing and developing their features for parents and caregivers to gain a little more control over digital communications. And for first laptops, I know a lot of students going to school now, a lot of technology is going to be required for editing, document editing, or even doing meetings. We had the pleasure of doing a review over such a device known as a Tenoshi Scholar. And it may look like a laptop, but it's a tablet in disguise. Sounds like a transformer. And how it works is it's a full-fledged Android device. So all the robust Android control and parental control apps work with this. And it comes with a keyboard, it's detachable, a camera, and we think it's a really good first laptop. It's not a Windows or an Apple computer. It is an Android device that is converted to work like a laptop. And what we love about Android for this reason is because there's a lot of really great apps, as I mentioned, to gain some control and scaffolding for communications and working on those devices. So we really like the Tenoshi Scholar for that reason. Now, when you get into middle school, normally what's going to be required for students at that age to engage, to work, and just have a digital life, that may not be a good or powerful enough solution. Chromebooks are great options for that. Nothing super powerful, 4 gigs memory, 64 gigs of storage, depending on if they're taking photos or not, just to kind of allow them to do schoolwork, some document editing, and all that stuff. So that's a really good option to look at. High school is where there's usually a much larger jump from the low power to the more higher power. We here in the White Hatter are fans of Apple products for mobile use and working and learning. It doesn't mean that Windows, there's nothing wrong with Windows. It's just when you're shopping for Windows computers, there's just a lot more options that can get really confusing. For Apple, things are a little more streamlined, we find, which become a little more appealing to consumers for people who are looking for a laptop. And I know Apple, being back to school season, usually has back to school sales on their devices. And I believe right now, percentage off of Apple Care, I think is what we saw right before we went live here. So if you're looking for a device, like an Apple laptop or a smartphone, there might be some good deals on right now, being back to school season. Now, not many people are looking into desktop computers anymore. Most people are focusing on laptops, and honestly, most laptops are pretty much just as powerful as full desktop computers. I mean, gaming, different story, but that's a different program. Desktop computers, if you're really looking for one, again, we are fans of Apple just because it's simpler from a purchasing standpoint. And again, Apple usually has some really good deals. We actually have an Apple Mac Mini, and I will tell you, the price to performance ratio is actually really convincing. People often say, you know, Macs are more expensive. Actually, it used to be that way. You're actually seeing the pure raw materials are actually getting more in line with if you were to buy something similar on a Windows platform. Again, we have nothing against Windows. We're actually streaming this entire studio on Windows computers. So Windows, totally fine. Nothing wrong with it. It's just from a consumer standpoint. Apple's usually a little easier if you're a little confused or not sure of what to buy. Apple's usually a pretty good solution that will last you a pretty good while. Now, if you have a device and you are like us and you're getting a little privacy conscious over your data and maybe worried over what students of yours are doing online, in particular to what they're posting, what they're saying, and what they're searching on platforms like Google, for example, if you're looking for a more private environment to kind of do your searching and research, we would recommend looking into the Firefox browser. And if you're doing your online searching, maybe not use Google. DuckDuckGo is a really powerful, and it is a search engine that doesn't use Google's tracking technology to track you. They don't do that. It's a really great. Is it as powerful as Google? No, but you're going to get pretty much mostly the same results. So if you're looking to be a little more private, maybe you're worried over the digital dossier students of yours are creating, maybe talking to them and encouraging them to use DuckDuckGo and Firefox might be a solution to look at. And we are big advocates of VPNs here, known as a virtual private network. VPNs essentially encrypt and secure your data connection between your device to the entire internet. And I don't want to get too technical here in this program, but if you are doing sensitive things on your device, and I guess I'm more speaking to working professionals who might be tuning in, kind of curious what we have to share here tonight. VPNs have been a really great security feature to protect people's privacy and security online. If someone is creeping on your network, looking at your data, a VPN will certainly help prevent that person from seeing too much stuff about you. Caveat is we have seen students use VPNs in terms of hiding things from parents and even from school networks. So it can be used for good, and for not so good. It's a tool, and it's how we choose to use that tool that really matters. And for family communications, if you're looking at an app or a platform where you can have all your family members talk to each other, avoiding things like Google or Facebook Messenger, which we all know obviously 100% tracks and reads all your messages because it's Facebook. That's what it does. If you're concerned about that, and if you're looking for some more control over who can speak and talk with young people in your family, we are really big fans of the Kinzu platform. And essentially what Kinzu does, it can work on mobile or on desktop. And what it does is you as a family leader create a family circle. And only people who you approve to be in your family circle can talk to other family members in your circle. Add grandparents, nieces, nephews, friends. You get to choose. And any message your young child sends or receives, you can see it, you can monitor it, which is just really great. And treat it like training wheels, for example. Training students how to get into the world of social media, digital communication, digital relationships within a private, scaffolded environment that you control. And again, this is more so effective for younger kids. For teens, obviously teens aren't going to use this app to talk to their friends. They're going to use Instagram, Snapchat, and other apps like that. But at least within your own family circle, you can look at that and you might be very pleased. We've actually seen some larger organizations look at Kinzu as their messaging communications platform, which is kind of cool. Never thought they'd go down that road, but hey, there's a lot of growth there, and it's a small startup from locally in Vancouver, and we think they are doing some great work. Try it out, it's free, costs you nothing, and don't like it, well, you don't have to use it, but again, it's free. And again, not being Facebook, they're not out there to track and sell and steal your data. Made by families, for families. So when it comes to online learning, a couple things to kind of address. Over the last year and a half, we've seen a lot of polarizing discussions over if remote learning is effective or not for students. In our experience and what we've seen in students and schools we worked at, we've seen many examples on how students learning from home remotely have far exceeded the capabilities that they were limited to with in-person learning. Now, that being said, we have seen some examples of students who were doing more poorly when it came to online learning. And if one thing has become clear to us is that people, young and old, have many different ways of learning. And for some students, online learning is going to be their best environment. For some, it's not going to be. And I think if one thing is going to come out of the last 2 years, I think it's being able to recognize that hybrid approaches might be the solution to learning, providing some students capabilities to achieve their best in learning environments that they excel in. But if students are going to be learning remotely, there are some checklists and things to keep in mind if that is going to happen. And the first suggestion and recommendation we have from years of experience, not only working remotely ourselves, but also watching and witnessing certain mistakes that have occurred, is to ensure if you're going to be working, learning remotely, we recommend doing a computer reset whenever you're going to get into the work mindset. And the reason why is a lot of people, they will work and play on the same device. And like gamers, for example, many students who are online gamers, well, they may be doing schoolwork on their gaming computer. And, maybe there's a game running in the background. Maybe there are certain settings they've enabled for the certain game they're playing that may interfere with what they're doing with schoolwork. To help minimize, good case example, whenever we do a live broadcast, we make sure our systems here are fully restarted before we go live, because we find it's a clean slate and a lot less mistakes or technical hiccups can occur. And again, it's live technology, anything's possible. And yeah, there have been hiccups. We've worked past them, but we've had best practices, and we find restarts are the best starting point. So restart your computers before you get into live video conferencing. Things to keep in mind. Also, make sure that students that you care for, under your care, before using any communications platform, be it Skype, Zoom, BlueJeans, Blackboard, Teams, whatever one of those apps your school, your family are using, make sure that young people are completely aware of how the platform works. I know, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, a lot of students are kind of just thrown into online learning without proper training on how to use these platforms. And we saw a lot of mistakes happen with maybe cameras being left on when they shouldn't have. Most people now, in the last couple months, we've seen get pretty more familiar, but mistakes still do happen, and proper training and familiarity with these software products is really recommended. And make sure that you, again, teach your child how to turn off their camera. Really important. We are fans here in the White Hatter of making sure that you maybe have like a little slider on your camera. I know on our computers that have webcams on them, we have little plastic sliders, little stickies that go on the camera, so the slide it open and close, just to make sure that if a camera is on by accident, it's not going to see anything because there's a second off switch, which is a plastic shutter. There are actually some laptops being made now that come with built-in plastic shutters, which we think is actually really kind of cool. So if you're looking for a new laptop for a student or yourself, you don't want to go the Apple route, there are some Windows computers that have physical camera sliders. Might be useful. And make sure you do not allow online learning to take place in like a bedroom or a bathroom. And bathroom, most people, makes sense. Bedroom is where things kind of get a little interesting. Why not do schoolwork in your bedroom? And one reason is there is a bit of psychology around productivity and work. And a lot of people have experienced this in the last year and a half, where working remotely, a lot of people make space in like the kitchen or something, because there's just something about being in a bedroom that can kind of impact environmentally your psychology. But as well, for younger students, there might be some things in that bedroom they may not want other people to see. Maybe it's a bedroom with certain personal artifacts, family pictures, maybe you don't want being shared or for other people to see. So we recommend having a clean space, be it a clear backdrop, clear background, it's neutral, and that doesn't show any personal, private information, such as pictures or location-based information. I know as white hat security professionals, as a licensed private investigative firm, pictures can tell a lot. And pictures inside family homes, inside family personal spaces, can reveal way more information than you might initially think of. So, and we know this cyber criminals are looking at the same thing. Harassers, intimidators, trolls, are looking at pictures carefully to pick out anything might be embarrassing or you may not want shown or made public to other folks, young and old. So again, when at all possible, make sure the background for learning and for working remotely is as clear as possible. And, in online learning environments can sometimes impact structure. Now, a lot of people, students even, function based on structure, like a school timetable. Some schools doing online learning may not have strict timetables in the normal sense of the idea of what a timetable is, because online learning can take place sometimes, anytime, anywhere. Learn your child's learning preferences, and we find most families who implement a clear daily, weekly schedule on when you're live, when you're learning, can really help ensure that projects get done on time and there is no slippage in kind of letting things go on for too long. So scheduling that, in our opinion, can be really, really effective for those students who might struggle with time management. And when you're online learning, have a hardwired connection. What does that mean? Well, that means Wi-Fi can sometimes be finicky. Now, most modern Wi-Fi products are actually really effective. They don't lose a lot of signal. But when you're using video for learning, for streaming, for video conferencing, if you have a larger family and every single person in your family is streaming video or broadcasting video, that can sometimes really bog down your network, especially the wireless network. We recommend, when at all possible, if it's able to achieve, getting a hardwired plug-in. So you take an actual physical internet cable and you plug it into your desktop, your computer, and that will avoid most of the common network issues you may come across. So wired connections, highly recommended. And make sure the space that is being used for video conferencing and online learning is well lit, especially while using your camera. And you have a reliable power source, and that is a comfortable space for extended long periods of work and learning. Lighting is very important. I mean, you don't need studio lighting like we have here in the White Hatter studio. One of the best low tech solutions that I've seen is you get one of those lights from like a hardware store that have like a metal dome, and you get a bright light bulb and you just flash it against the wall, and the light bouncing off will be a nice, soft, appealing light source. So think about creative tools like that. Those are some, because cameras really need a lot of lighting. You can make a webcam look really professional if it's properly lit. One of the main reasons why we see a lot of online learning or online webinars not really be as effective as they could, because people are using a simple webcam and it's just not properly lighted. Lighting can go a long way. And ensure that non-tech equipment, be it paper, notebook, pencils, water, juice, are all within arm's reach. Treat it like, for example, going to an actual school to learn. It's not as if a student can, in between class, easily go home and get a pencil if they're missing a pencil. And you'll see that a lot with online classroom learning. You see a lot of students getting up from there, going into the kitchen or something to get some supplies, and it can really be disrupting. Being as prepared as possible, having all the school equipment easily at hand, can make online learning be a lot more efficient. And make sure that any mobile device that's going to be used is fully charged, and if not, plug it in if you need to plug it in. That's just kind of everyday life nowadays, making sure that all your devices are properly charged. But if you're using a device for actual schoolwork, make sure there's a cable, and you can get some pretty long, like really long extension power cables for like phones and laptops. You can go a pretty long ways with these cables. So again, having a hardwired connection and having a hardwired power source, really, recommended. And if mobile phones are not needed during the class, try to keep them away unless during a break time or per teacher's instructions, just to avoid distractions. And, this is a part of a parental responsibility because, we've seen a lot of student tip videos on like TikTok, for example, and how to kind of beat online learning, how to overlay a video that makes it look like you're awake when in fact you're sleeping, or how to secretly work on and play games on another device or another window when you should be learning. So for online learning, when it comes to school, some online parental supervision is really recommended because the teacher is not there in the room looking over the student's shoulder. Someone else might have to take up that role. For best effective learning, having only the essential devices and essential equipment at hand is recommended. And part of psychology as well is make sure that the child is wearing similar clothing to if they were to actually go to class or go to school, not PJs or that type of stuff. Wear clothes that you would want to see yourself or your student out in public with. Because again, there is a kind of psychology around, online learning, but in your pajamas. Can be fun, can be relaxing, but there can be a psychology around the productivity and the choices you make. Highly recommended there as well. And obviously make sure when it comes to wearing clothes, wear pants. We've seen a lot of mistakes over the last year and a half where cameras on, say, computers maybe accidentally kind of tilted down a bit, or someone stood up to go to the bathroom and they were in their underwear. Funny to watch on YouTube, really embarrassing if it happens to you. So yeah, wearing pants, really recommended there. Now, although you may be the one kind of overseeing the online learning in your household, don't treat that like an opportunity to now hover over your students, your kids. Because like school, in person or out of person, there is some level of independence and agency for students to make decisions on their own, to make some mistakes on their own, and to be invited. We see a lot of sort of embarrassing or awkward situations where, parents and caregivers of students learning remotely will kind of pop into the camera in the middle of an online class. And that can be seen as very disrespectful, not being, conscious of the other members in that class. So, but we see some really cool projects where families were brought together to share things or display things for a class to build some really cool communities. But wait to be invited. Don't necessarily budge yourself into your student's class if not invited. And constantly remind young people that you care for that although they might be in a private learning environment, everything they do online is public, permanent, searchable, and exploitable. It can be copied and it can be shared. And I know we've seen a lot of instances where a lot of students on like Zoom, for example, a lot of Zoom online learning, you can have private communications with other members in your class. But depending on the subscription the school is using, sometimes the school teachers or administrators can see those messages. There have been a lot of false sense of privacy when it comes to online learning environments. So, and even if it is a school-run program, meaning that it's bound by certain government laws to ensure it's not sharing personal private information, we have seen data breaches, hacks, or exploits in the last 2 or so years where online learning environments were made public. Not because they were intended to do that, but because there was a mistake. Online programs are very complex, made of millions of lines of code, and you can't always rely that each bit of code is going to be perfect. Programs are made by humans, and sometimes humans make mistakes. We do it all the time. But if it's online, it's public, it's permanent, and searchable. That's how the internet works. And remember that there will be some digital hiccups, especially with younger students. And this is where you will play an important role and help where necessary. There's going to be mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. It's a matter of how we address those mistakes, fix those mistakes that matter. And although some mistakes might create some negative emotions, it's important not to act on those emotions, because that's a part of the trust building process between parents and caregivers, students and kids. How you respond to any challenges within your family will dictate the response and future behaviors of that student later on. If a student makes a little mistake and then as a parent or caregiver overreacts, how likely is it that that young person is going to seek help on another mistake? Or if they're doing something they don't want you to know about, how deeper underground are they going to work to hide things from you if they are worried that you're going to completely 100% overreact? So be cautious. Your actions and responses to challenges will have real-world long-term implications. Just a word of caution there. And for online learning, implement our family collective agreement. This is essentially a semi-family contract. It's a family contract. We've drafted one. It's on our website, thewhitehatter.ca, under resources or our parents tab. And it's a document that outlines expectations for good online behavior and not so good online behavior. You sign it, they sign it, you can even make your own or edit the one that we have. And it makes it clear that these devices, they are not a right to have, they are a privilege to have. And like a driver's license, it can be given, it can be taken away. If you are not using your device in an appropriate, effective way, there can be some consequences. This online family agreement clearly outlines your expectations and can outline potential consequences for misbehavior. It's a great resource. It makes you very clear. And if there is a challenge, if there is a mistake, intentional or unintentional, you can refer to this on how to act accordingly. Great resource, one of our best resources that we have here in the White Hatter, and it's helped many families. And remember, make the most of the space you have, but do not get stressed if you can't provide a perfect learning environment. If need be, your child can work on the sofa or on their bedroom floor. Again, what we shared with you this evening was more around best case scenarios. Not every family, not every household is going to have the perfect environment for online learning. We acknowledge that challenge, but make the best of it. There will be mistakes, but having the best intentions is what will go a long way. And this is your last chance. If you're looking to get the books, we have the giveaway today. Putting !book into the chat will enter you into the giveaway for potentially the Digital Executor and the Digital Undertaker book. Winners will be announced at the end of the program. And for those winners, send us an email so we can get those books to you. So, here in the White Hatter, let's go over what we have this year for schools and parent groups. First off, for elementary programs, we have updated and revised our grade 4-5 program, 6-7 program, and again, we have our live Q&A, where again, schools can contact us. If they do a video on demand, we can do a live Q&A afterwards in a week or at their time of choosing, if it works with our schedule. We're looking forward to offering this here this year. For middle school, we have our standard digital safety, online safety program, again, updated for 2021. Cyberbullying, sexting, and the law. Online predation, exploitation. Our high school program, which is digital safety and digital literacy, leveraging social media, cyberbullying and sexting, sexual predation and exploitation, and our new program, as mentioned before, social media, critical thinking, and the law, plus the live White Hatter Q&A available as well. For parents and caregivers, for parent groups, for PACs, we have the Internet Safety and Digital Literacy Program for parents and caregivers, online porn, radicalization, shaming, and disinformation, gaming concerns, balance, addiction, and opportunities, sexting, nudes, and the law, predation, exploitation, plus, in addition, monitoring, filtering, and other tools for parents and caregivers, technology, sleep for kids, and sharing, plus our live White Hatter Q&A, which is available for PACs, parent groups who want to ask us questions and get some more kind of direct responses and answers to challenges they may be experiencing. And for educators, for people in the education field, for Pro D Days, for educators, we have our Internet Safety and Digital Literacy Program for educators, digital professionalism for educators, using online tools for education, making sure they are within privacy law, very important nowadays, and new, we have our social media and internet critical incident investigations for school resource officers, youth officers, and gang officers. We've worked quite a lot over the last year and a half with police agencies in responding and how to deal and how to investigate online challenges and how to conduct online investigations. And we have a new formalized program to help people in those fields. Plus for educators as well, live Q&A with the White Hatter. If you have not already signed up for the White Hatter newsletter, really recommended. It's not like we're going to spam you. We usually send out an email once, if not maybe once every other month, that will keep you updated on news, resources, videos that we create here in the studio. I know we published a news article about a week ago to announce this live event. So if you were on that newsletter, you would have gotten forewarning for any upcoming events we will be hosting here in the White Hatter studio. You can access the newsletter from our website, thewhitehatter.ca. Now, we'll be reaching out and contacting people who have entered into the draw for the Digital Undertaker and the Digital Executor. We'll be reaching out and we'll be sending those out accordingly and be in contact to get those out. These books came from one of our guests during the White Hatter Expert Interview Series. And if you haven't watched those interviews, there's a lot to learn. And these are some wonderful experts from around North America and beyond on tools, tips, and solutions for you and your family. And that brings us to the end of our annual back to school update from here in the White Hatter. Thank you all so much for taking time to be here with us. We are very excited for the upcoming school season as we have a lot more tech, a lot more programs, and a lot more opportunities to access White Hatter programs, both live or recorded. Especially when it comes to October, our pre-recorded video on demand series should be live, starting with grade 4, 5, 6, 7. That's like the biggest announcement we have. And trust me, we've been working all summer to make those just right. So from the entire White Hatter team, thank you all so much and have a great school season. Bye, everybody.